Beneath the surface of our daily lives operates an immense, intricate network, the global supply chain. It's an invisible lifeline, moving everything from your morning coffee to the device you're watching this on. For decades, it hummed with remarkable efficiency, delivering goods across continents with precision and speed. But in a relatively short period, this complex system, optimized for speed and cost, faced an unprecedented series of shocks. It was pushed to its breaking point, threatening to paralyze international trade and redefine our understanding of global commerce. At the heart of this system are the colossal container ships. These engineering marvels are floating cities, capable of transporting hundreds of thousands of tons of cargo. They bridge continents, connecting factories in Asia to consumers in Europe and America. Without these giants of the sea, the sheer volume of goods that define our modern consumer economy simply could not be moved efficiently. Their consistent, punctual operation is the bedrock of globalized production and distribution. Fueling this global network is a philosophy known as just-in-time manufacturing. Pioneered for efficiency, it minimizes inventory, ensuring parts and products arrive precisely when needed for assembly or sale. This approach slashes warehousing costs and boosts profitability, making supply chains lean and incredibly responsive. However, its greatest strength is also its most critical vulnerability: there is very little buffer. Any disruption cascades rapidly, revealing the inherent fragility within this highly optimized system. The global economy, powered by this intricate dance of production and delivery, became a delicate ecosystem. It relied on predictable routes, stable geopolitical landscapes, and a world largely free from major natural disruptions. For decades, this equilibrium held, fostering unprecedented global prosperity and interconnectedness. Yet, this very success sowed the seeds of its own vulnerability, making it utterly dependent on the seamless flow of goods through narrow choke points and across vast oceans. Before the full force of the crisis hit, there were early warning signs. Regional conflicts flared, trade disputes between major economic powers imposed tariffs and quotas, and shifts in climate patterns began to disrupt agricultural production. While these events caused localized issues, they served as tremors, testing the resilience of the system. They demonstrated that even seemingly distant events could ripple through the interconnected web, hinting at the deeper vulnerabilities that lay beneath. Then came the natural disasters, acting as powerful wrenches in the gears of global trade. Severe typhoons in Southeast Asia crippled port operations and manufacturing hubs, washing away critical infrastructure. Unprecedented droughts in vital shipping regions lowered river levels, making inland transport routes impassable for barges laden with goods. These weren't isolated incidents, they were widespread, simultaneous disruptions that strained the system's capacity to adapt and reroute, leading to growing bottlenecks. The COVID-19 pandemic delivered a shockwave unlike any other. Initial lockdowns in manufacturing powerhouses brought production to a standstill, creating a vacuum in global supply. As economies reopened, a surge in consumer demand, especially for goods over services, overwhelmed the system. Factories struggled to ramp up, port workers faced quarantine rules, and truck drivers were in short supply. This imbalance of supply and demand created unprecedented pressure, exposing the system's lack of redundancy. The Suez Canal, a man-made marvel connecting the Mediterranean to the Red Sea, is one of the most vital choke points for global trade. Annually, around 12% of the world's trade volume, including vast amounts of oil and containerized goods, passes through its narrow channel. It's a shortcut that saves weeks of travel around Africa, making it indispensable for efficient east-west shipping. Its strategic importance cannot be overstated. Any disruption here has immediate and profound global repercussions. On March 23, 2021, the nightmare scenario unfolded. The container ship Ever Given, one of the largest in the world, ran aground in the Suez Canal during a sandstorm. It wedged itself diagonally across the waterway, effectively blocking all traffic in both directions. The sheer scale of the vessel, combined with the narrowness of the canal, made its extraction a monumental challenge. The world watched, captivated, as efforts began to refloat the 220,000-ton behemoth. The immediate impact was devastating. Over 400 ships, carrying billions of dollars worth of goods, queued at both ends of the canal, creating an unprecedented maritime traffic jam. Critical supplies, from oil and gas to manufactured goods and perishable food, were stuck. Companies faced impossible choices: wait indefinitely, or reroute around the Cape of Good Hope, adding weeks and significant costs to their journeys. The just-in-time system, with its minimal buffers, was immediately exposed to its limits. Each day the Suez Canal remained blocked, an estimated $9.6 billion worth of trade was held up. The repercussions rippled instantly through global markets. Oil prices surged, supply contracts were breached, and manufacturing lines dependent on arriving parts began to grind to a halt. The incident served as a stark, highly visible demonstration of how a single point of failure in a critical choke point could trigger a colossal economic domino effect, impacting industries and consumers worldwide. The Suez Canal incident underscored the incredible fragility and interconnectedness of our modern world. It revealed that complex systems, while efficient, lack resilience when faced with unexpected, large-scale disruptions. The global supply chain, once celebrated for its seamless flow, now looked less like an impenetrable fortress and more like a house of cards, where one fallen piece could bring the entire structure down. The idea of just-in-time was now being questioned for its inherent risks. Beyond natural disasters and maritime accidents, geopolitical tensions added another layer of complexity and vulnerability. Trade wars, such as those between major global economies, led to tariffs and sanctions that rerouted trade flows, disrupting established relationships and adding costs. Regional conflicts in strategically important areas threatened shipping lanes, forcing vessels to take longer, more dangerous routes. The pursuit of political advantage often came at the expense of predictable and efficient global commerce. The South China Sea, for instance, is another critical choke point, through which a staggering one-third of global maritime trade passes annually. Disputes over territorial claims and navigation rights in this region have escalated, leading to increased naval presence and the potential for disruption. Any significant conflict or blockade here would have an even more catastrophic impact than the Suez Canal incident, paralyzing a vast portion of global manufacturing and energy supply. It represents a constant underlying risk. In the digital age, new vulnerabilities emerged: cyber threats. Sophisticated ransomware attacks on major shipping companies and port operators demonstrated how easily digital infrastructure, crucial for coordinating millions of containers, could be crippled. These attacks caused delays, disrupted scheduling, and added further chaos to an already strained system. The invisible threat of cyber warfare became a very real and present danger to the physical movement of goods worldwide, adding another layer of fragility. The culmination of these disruptions led to unprecedented port congestion. Major hubs in Los Angeles, Long Beach, Shanghai, and Rotterdam became scenes of maritime gridlock, with dozens of ships waiting offshore for days or even weeks to unload. This wasn't just a delay, it was a systemic breakdown. Ships couldn't offload, so containers couldn't move to warehouses, which meant empty containers weren't available for return to Asia. This created a vicious cycle of delays and backlogs. Adding to the chaos was the empty container problem. With ships stuck or rerouted, and goods piling up at destination ports, millions of empty containers were stranded in the wrong places. They were desperately needed in Asian export hubs but were bottlenecked in Europe and North America. This imbalance meant factories couldn't ship their goods even if production was on schedule, further exacerbating shortages and driving up shipping costs to astronomical levels. It was a logistical nightmare. Compounding the port congestion was a critical shortage of labor across the supply chain. Truck drivers, warehouse workers, and dockers, essential for moving goods once they arrived, were in short supply. Pandemic-related issues, an aging workforce, and difficult working conditions contributed to this deficit. Even if ships could unload, goods often sat at ports due to a lack of people to transport them. This created bottlenecks that stretched from the docks to the final mile of delivery. The combined effect of these disruptions, natural disasters, the Suez blockage, geopolitical tensions, port congestion, and labor shortages, sent shipping costs soaring. The price of moving a single container from Asia to Europe or North America increased by as much as 500% in some instances. These exorbitant costs were inevitably passed on to consumers, contributing significantly to inflation and making everyday goods more expensive. The era of cheap, predictable global shipping was, at least temporarily, over. Perhaps one of the most visible impacts was the global semiconductor chip shortage. Automotive factories halted production lines, electronics manufacturers delayed new product releases, and even household appliances became scarce. This wasn't just about shipping, it was about the highly specialized, globally distributed production of essential components, disrupted by lockdowns, factory fires, and a surge in demand. The crisis showed how a shortage in one critical component could paralyze entire industries worldwide. For consumers, the consequences were stark: empty shelves in stores, extended delivery times for online orders, and higher prices across the board. From toys to furniture, electronics to construction materials, the effects of the disrupted supply chain were tangible. What was once taken for granted, the immediate availability of virtually any product, suddenly became a luxury. The crisis forced a global realization that our access to goods was far more precarious than anyone had imagined. Looking back, it's clear the global supply chain was on the verge of collapse. The confluence of natural disasters, the Suez incident, and geopolitical pressures created a perfect storm. The system, optimized for efficiency above all else, lacked the built-in resilience to absorb such multiple, simultaneous shocks. It truly demonstrated how easily this incredibly complex yet incredibly fragile global economic engine can be broken, threatening to cause worldwide shortages on an unprecedented scale. The crisis served as a harsh wake-up call, prompting a fundamental re-evaluation of global supply chain strategies. The singular focus on just-in-time efficiency began to shift towards building greater resilience and redundancy. Companies started to rethink their reliance on single-source suppliers and distant manufacturing hubs, recognizing the costs of potential disruption far outweighed the savings of lean operations. The priority became not just speed, but robustness. One key response has been diversification. Businesses are now actively seeking multiple suppliers in different regions to mitigate risks. The concept of nearshoring or friendshoring also gained traction, encouraging production closer to home or in politically stable, allied nations. While this may increase immediate production costs, it reduces transit times, minimizes exposure to geopolitical volatility, and strengthens regional supply chains, providing a buffer against future global shocks. The pandemic highlighted the danger of minimal inventories. As a countermeasure to the just-in-time ethos, some industries and governments are now considering strategic stockpiling of critical goods and components. While this incurs warehousing costs, it provides essential buffers against sudden supply shocks, ensuring continuity for vital sectors like healthcare and defense. This shift represents a pragmatic acceptance that efficiency alone cannot guarantee security. Improving supply chain visibility through advanced data analytics and digitalization is another crucial step. Companies are investing in technologies that provide real-time tracking of goods, predict potential disruptions, and offer alternative routing options. Greater transparency across the entire chain, from raw materials to final delivery, allows for quicker responses to emerging problems and better informed decision-making, helping to build a more responsive and less opaque system. To address physical bottlenecks, significant infrastructure investment is underway. Upgrading port facilities, expanding road and rail networks, and modernizing warehousing are critical to increasing capacity and efficiency. This includes automation in ports to speed up loading and unloading, and developing multimodal transport options. These investments aim to build the physical resilience needed to cope with surges in demand and mitigate the impact of future disruptions. The crisis also highlighted the necessity of greater international cooperation. Addressing global supply chain vulnerabilities requires coordinated efforts between governments, international organizations, and the private sector. Sharing information, harmonizing regulations, and jointly investing in resilient infrastructure can create a more robust global trading environment. No single nation can fully insulate itself from these global forces, making collective action indispensable. The lessons learned from the near collapse of the global supply chain are profound. The future of global trade will likely be characterized by a more cautious, diversified, and resilient approach. While the pursuit of efficiency will remain, it will be tempered by a greater emphasis on robustness and security. The era of blindly relying on a hyper-optimized, single point of failure system is drawing to a close, replaced by a more distributed and adaptable model. While complete immunity from disruption is impossible, these strategic shifts aim to build a supply chain that is better equipped to withstand future shocks. The goal is to move from a system that simply reacts to crises, to one that can anticipate and absorb them more effectively. This involves a fundamental redesign, not just minor adjustments, ensuring that the critical global economic engine, powered by those colossal container ships, can continue to deliver the goods upon which we all depend. The challenge is ongoing. Geopolitical tensions persist, climate change promises more frequent and severe natural disasters, and the demand for goods continues to grow. The global supply chain remains an incredibly complex organism, constantly evolving. The crisis of the early 2020s served as a critical stress test, revealing both its astonishing capabilities and its inherent vulnerabilities. The efforts to strengthen it are a testament to our reliance on its uninterrupted flow. This period has also sparked a deeper conversation about the very nature of globalization. Is maximum efficiency always the best policy, even if it introduces extreme fragility? Or should societies prioritize security, redundancy, and local production, even at a potentially higher cost? The answers will shape not only how goods move around the world but also the economic landscape of nations for decades to come. It's a re-evaluation of our global interconnectedness. Ultimately, the global supply chain crisis wasn't just about ships, ports, or logistics algorithms, it was profoundly human. It affected livelihoods, led to stress for businesses, and caused frustration for everyday consumers. The unsung heroes, the truck drivers, dock workers, factory employees, and logistics planners, who kept what they could moving during unprecedented times, were critical. Their efforts highlighted the essential role of human labor in even the most automated global systems. The crisis served as a stark, undeniable reminder that our global economy, despite its vast scale and technological sophistication, remains remarkably vulnerable. The seamless flow of goods, once a given, can easily be interrupted by natural events, human error, or geopolitical shifts. It's a humbling lesson in the delicate balance of complex systems and the constant need for vigilance and adaptation to maintain the flow that sustains billions of lives every single day. The lessons of the crisis are clear: while the pursuit of efficiency is vital, it must be balanced with robust resilience. Our understanding of risk must expand to include seemingly improbable events, from a single ship blocking a canal to the cascading effects of a global pandemic or escalating political tensions. The decisions made today, in boardrooms and government offices, will determine whether the global supply chain of tomorrow is strong enough to withstand the inevitable challenges that lie ahead. The headlines may fade, but the fundamental shifts in how we think about and manage global trade are here to stay. This crisis forced us to peer behind the curtain of our convenience, revealing the intricate mechanisms that deliver our everyday world. It highlighted the critical importance of massive container ships, the double-edged sword of just-in-time manufacturing, and how easily this incredibly complex, yet incredibly fragile global economic engine can be broken, causing worldwide shortages. From the colossal ships navigating vast oceans to the delicate dance of just-in-time deliveries, the global supply chain is a testament to human ingenuity. But its near collapse was a potent reminder of our collective responsibility to build a more secure, adaptable, and resilient system. For the world to continue its progress, the invisible lifelines of trade must not only connect us but also possess the strength to endure, ensuring the flow of goods and the prosperity of all.